back on the Boulevard, Thursday, May 15th. As always, here to prove to you there is no such thing as football season. We're presented by the Believe Network tonight. Week 8 is here, which means it's time to play another round of our favorite game. Who the hell is playing quarterback for Birmingham, TPG?
Well, apparently it's going to be Caleb Williams because he wanted to join the UFL all along. But you know what? That's complete bullshit because his dad, whatever his name is, Carl, I think, such a hover parent. Like your son's a grown man. Like you're not out there playing the games. Let him go out there and play. So yeah, that article I saw today just really pissed me off because it's like, why are you releasing this now? Like release it last year. Yeah, it would have been funny to joke about, but now it's like, and I know you probably, I don't know. We beat the Packers anyways, so, and I was there to see it.
Yeah, for reference, TPG talking about a story that came out on ESPN.com today about Caleb Williams' new book and some of the things that are in it. One of the things being they were so scared to go to the Bears with the number 1 pick, they considered joining the UFL. Wow, that would have been something, right? Caleb Williams, born and raised in D.C., next quarterback for the Defenders.
He would have got crushed. If he was on the showboats, he would have got murdered by that offensive line.
Yeah, I saw the memes that he'd only be the second best quarterback in the UFL behind Bryce Perkins.
Just a horrible story to come out. So,
well,
whatever.
Yeah, we'll put the NFL aside and move on to the UFL here. You know, this Stallions Battlehawks matchup, it doesn't quite live up to the hype we saw with last year's matchup between Martinez and McCarron when it was AJ's return to Alabama. But it's still our game of the week. We're going to have a full preview for you on that one. Also, it's another battle for spring football supremacy in the signal caller realm. Tamu's Defenders hosting Perez's Renegades. Arlington season is on the line Sunday. We're going to have to see how they respond to that 1-point heartbreaking loss at the last second to Michigan. So here in the show is normally where we'd show you the standings heading into week 8, but we're not going to this week or ever again because according to the UFL, it doesn't matter anymore. Why do we even play the games? Article comes out today from Mike Mitchell, UFL News Hub, and it details all this. First off, to the suits at Audi Field and Ford Field, shame on you. Shame on you for robbing your fans in your city an opportunity to attend a playoff game televised on a major network if your team should earn the right to do so. Shame on you. You should all be fired today, especially over at Audi Field, where you can't seem to figure out a way to move a regular season soccer match that you wouldn't be able to find on TV if you tried, if you searched for it. It's pathetic, TPG. And I have something to say, too, not just to those suits, but the suits in the UFL front office, who, according to Mike's article, decided that the solution here is if Michigan and D.C. clinch the 1 seeds, they're going to send them on the road to the 2 seeds. You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace. You're an embarrassment, a complete mockery of yourselves and the league for that decision, if that's the case. You're prioritizing a business decision to benefit ticket sales and TV optics over the ethics of the competition in the game of football.
So you would rather have it be a neutral site.
It has
in
to
Arlington,
be. There's no other option.
Yeah, but to be like,
listen,
you want to play in a stadium with no fans? Like I know it's not ideal, and I'm gonna sit here and say, yeah, play it at the Battle Dome, but it would be so. First TV product, right? Which it clearly is. That's all they really care about. You gotta play it at the 2 seeds. Like obviously, yeah, it sucks, but playing it in a neutral site location with no fans would just be absolutely horrible and an eyesore to watch on TV. Plus, I hate watching these games at Arlington. They're just, I mean, the stadium looks weird. The configurations, it's a baseball field, right? It's not a football field that they're trying to, play football on. So, yeah, I understand your whole, gripe against the whole situation, but I think it's best you play that at the 2 seeds locations.
Okay, fine. Then we do it your way. Okay, you remember the season 4 finale of Friday Night Lights? Do you remember what happened, TPG, when Coach Taylor's East Dillon Panthers had a home game against West Dillon? because their field got destroyed. It got vandalized. And then the suits told them in the meeting, you're just going to have to suck it up. Can't play at your field. You got to play at West Dillon. You remember who won that game? Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. So go ahead. Keep stacking the deck against DC. They've done it forever. We'll see who gets the last laugh. We'll gladly play you there. It's a disgrace. It's a joke. It's an embarrassment to competition. If we got to do it, we'll do it. And we'll win the game as well. Leave it at that.
No, I mean, I agree. Like, it's a shitty situation, but I mean, it's better playing it at the 2 seed site's better than a neutral site. Wow. Better than that. So, hey, Matty Fresh, suck it up.
I'm going to have to. Because it seems like this is what they're going to do. So let's move on. We got another week, another special guest on the Boulevard. This one, a familiar face for DC fans and our viewers over the years. Enjoy. Joined now by DC Defenders tight end Briley Moore. Briley, great to have you back, man.
It's good. Great to be back here, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, so let's talk about Friday night right off the rip. What a game. You reel in all your targets, 5 catches, 71 yards. Players of the week just came out, both Jordan and Joe Wallace. DC is going to sweep the awards this week. And when you talk about, what you helped to get Jordan there, like another signature one-handed Briley Moore snag in there. Is it true that you taught Gunnar Britton the art of the one-handed catch before he went out and made that play?
Gunnar taught me. I learned from Gunnar. He every time we've ran that play over the past, I think we've probably been running it for 3 weeks now. Every single time, even if it's walkthrough, he catches it one-handed. So he always said he was going to do it one-handed in the game. I didn't believe him. Then he stuck that one hand there. I was like, oh my gosh, please catch it. And he came down with it. So I was pretty impressed. I give him a 10 out of 10.
He's a big dude. Like he might have to slide out to tight end. I saw him on the Metro going home from Audi Field in one of these games, and he almost hit his head getting off the Metro. So
no doubt.
That's the guy you want to go to there. So let's relive that play from your perspective a little bit, because I know there was a similar one week 2 against Memphis. That was out of 12 personnel that ended up going to Bresnahan for the winner. But this time, a little different formation. In this one, I didn't see anybody out wide. It just had the 7 linemen, 2 tight ends. So take us through that call, your role in that play, and then the overall execution of it.
Yep. So we've, that's kind of our true heavy package and personnel there. Bring Gunnar in at tight end. We have a tight end and another O lineman in the backfield. And all we've done out of that this season is run the ball, we've ran power a couple times. We really ran a good amount of plays out of it, but it's always been a run. So we sold the counter there. And the low red, I think it was 4th down, 4th and 1, 4th and 1.5. Nobody's expecting the pass to go over there. If there is, they're going to think that it's going to come over my way where we had 2 tight ends. So I'm just backside, just sealing the edge, making sure JT has time to do it. Gunnar selling like he's the play side of counter, popping for 6. It was a beautiful play call, beautiful execution. And mainly the timing of it was just perfect.
Yeah, I've watched it back a million times, and when you see it, you actually throw your hands up like as the ball's floating through the air. Thank God he caught that.
Right, that was bad.
But hey, never a doubt. Like you said, you saw it in practice, so it was never a doubt from your perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that play wins the game, and I think back to the sort of the moments on that drive that put you guys in the position to do that, sort of being equally as important here. You guys get the ball, 9.5 minutes left, up by 1, kind of dink and dunk your way down the field, running a lot of clock, typical Fred Keist thing, and Jordan comes out hurt with about 4 minutes left. In comes Mike Dilliello. So walk me through that moment, those 4 plays with Mike that ended up being, 4 of the most important plays of the game before Jordan came back in for 4th down.
Yeah, shout out to Mike. He's QB2, but he prepares like he's a QB1. He's an extra coach for Jordan and us, pass catchers. He's always coaching us, helping us, letting us know what they're thinking. So there's no surprise that he came in and executed at all. His very first play, that drive, we kind of ran inside zone with me shooting out for the possible flat a couple times that drive. I got the ball, I believe, once prior to it on that. And then Coach Kais called it again. And I whispered to him, "Hey, I know it's your first play, but they haven't taken me at all on this shoot route." And so I get out there, truthfully not expecting that he's going to throw it because, like I said, it's his first play. He rips it right out to me. We get a first down, and then we're just rolling. He's a great dude, so I'm happy he was able to come in and make some big plays for us.
Yeah, and in a huge moment too. And then, Coach Harris and Coach Heist decide, hey, we're going to go for this on fourth down. And listen, as someone who had DC minus 6.5, I love that. I'm thinking, thank God, let's get the cover here. I mean, and most teams are probably kicking a field goal there, so rolling the dice there in a huge moment. Shout out, Coach, for that one. That was the right call there, and it just led to an incredible win. It wasn't perfect at times, but I think you guys found a way to get the job done. And now on to the next one, back at Audi Field Sunday, hosting Arlington. So we know Jordan ended up coming back in, finishing the game. What was the reason he came out with the injury, and then how is he looking this week heading into practice?
Oh, he looks great. I think, truthfully, I never really asked him. I watched a TV copy and they were talking about the turf got into his face mask and stuff. I think that's what it was. I really don't know. He's been good. He's been out at practice today. It was our first day practicing back. We had a walkthrough the other day. So doesn't look like there's any issue with him there. I know he's ready. We're all ready. This is a big game, a great opportunity. At the end of the day, we always want to go 1-0 no matter who we're playing, but get to play Arlington again. We've had some good games against them. It was an exciting one earlier this season, so we're excited. I'm excited, ready to go get after this back at Audi.
Yeah, and I also saw Ty Scott running some routes, getting some work in on his Instagram story. Are we going to see 19 back here for the stretch run?
I don't know about that, but I've seen it too on the Instagram. I'm excited for him. He's another great dude. He deserves to be in the NFL, so I'm hoping he can get back, help us make this run, get himself healthy so he can get into some camps in the fall.
Yeah, and Von Hutchins goes out this week, gets you guys another one. Seth Williams, a guy who is dominant as a receiver in the SEC, so it'll be great to see him in action as you get down the stretch. Yeah, you talk about the Arlington game. Last meeting, 70 combined points. It was a 37-33 win. You guys run a similar formation, that heavy package, and a run to Deion Jackson to cap it off. In that game, it seemed like the defense really stepped up in the second half to put the offense in a position to win it. So, you've played in a ton of these games, these Tamu versus Perez battles. I think there's been 9 or 10 of them. What is it about this series over the last 3 years that makes these games so high scoring, entertaining, and with the fantastic finishes?
Yeah, I mean, it's great coaching. You got some really good coaches on both sides. So it's always a really fun scheme game, I would say, for me personally, as somebody that, likes to look into that. But you just have, two great spring careers that get to go head up twice a year. And it just, for whatever reason, it always ends up to bring the fireworks. So it's been fun. We obviously, dropped one to them in San Antonio 2 years ago for the championship. So obviously still a pretty bitter taste in our mouths from that for the guys that have been here since then. But it's just, it's kind of a cool rivalry. It's a cool series to be able to play. I know for a fact that we have not beat them back to back since we've been playing each other over the past 3 years. So we're excited for the opportunity to do that if we can go out and execute. And we just want to play. You kind of mentioned it. The defense really stepped up in that second half last time. We got to, something on offense that we're preaching is we got to be able to start fast because our offense has been doing really well. We just haven't been starting the way that we need to. So we believe, if we can start the way that we've been finishing these games, we'll really put ourselves in a position to win whenever the clock hits 0.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaker against San Antonio. Braylon Sanders on a touchdown right off the rip. It gets called back. It's like, oh man, that was the start we were looking for. But maybe the next one doesn't get called back. Hopefully. So I did want to kind of bring up a stat when it comes to Fred Kais and his offense over the years and sort of the shift in identity that I've noticed. In XFL 2023, DC, number 1 rush offense in the league by a long shot, ran it 56% of the time. Since then, run rate comes down to now 43%, but you have the number 1 pass offense out here lighting it up. So, from your perspective, what changed to lead to this kind of shift in identity, and maybe what are some of the solutions you guys are working on to kind of get back to the run game and to have a little bit of balance.
We definitely want to get our run game back to what it has been in years past. I would say though, when it comes to receiving, we just got guys making plays right now. We've all been, a lot of guys have been playing together for now, multiple years, and we have a really good running back room this year as well. I would probably say this is the best running back room that we've had thus far. So I'm excited to get those guys going and get the run game going, so it does open up more passing opportunities. But just it kind of seems the way the games have been going, and kind of the way that the league is set up as well, from defensive personnel, is that we kind of start throwing the ball a little bit more. We got some dogs in that receiver room that go and make plays, and when JT throws that thing, they go get it, whether it's downfield or short passes that they turn into long runs. So we've just, I think the personnel, the receivers that we've been able to get into the room have really stepped up, really been making plays for us. And we've had great receivers in the past. So, whenever we had Chris and Lucky, I would love to see what their numbers would have been if we'd have been passing it this much back whenever they were here. But, I just think it's an evolution. Coach is really good about knowing, when to use what play calls, what players to get rolling. And so kind of just the way that it's been. But I think our identity is still in running the ball.
Yeah, for sure. Last question for you, Briley, before we get you out of here. For someone who played in the XFL, survived the merge, came out on the other side, now year 2 of the UFL with the new CBA ratified. We know it's consensus that the talent on the field and the competition has gotten a lot better. But if I asked you to evaluate some things maybe off the field, whether it be quality of life in the hub, training facilities, travel, equipment, like things like that fans don't really think about, is there progress being made? Because I know everyone wants to talk about TV ratings and attendance and things that the league can't necessarily control. But as far as the things that they can, where do you put the progress compared to where you guys were at last year?
Definitely compared to last year, I think there's positive progress compared to year one. Definitely, when it was XFL, we were all hubbed here, living in hotels. So some of the guys that have been here since then, we laugh about it. We all lived in hotel together and whatnot. Now, the league has given us a living stipend to allow us to be able to live, out of hotels in our own places. So my family is able to be here year one, or now compared to year one, they weren't. So that's a major plus. And then just compared to last year, I think last year there was some hiccups, just because it was the first year of the merger and stuff. So I think it's getting better. There's definitely room for improvement, because I think that this, seeing the big picture, I think this league is going to continue to go up. I know that TV ratings are down for whatever reason. But I think, the more that we can get this league going, the better product we can put on the field, the more fans will start watching, and everything will just get better and allow the UFL to flourish.
Right, yeah, you just take care of what you can control. Like at the end of the day, those numbers that come in with ratings, this is something that all sports struggle with. And, we're facing a time with attendance right now, too, where you're just seeing a shift in consumer trends where people just aren't going out as much as they used to. So, yeah, it's interesting to see, but you guys are, controlling what you can. And obviously, I think the biggest thing here with the merge is the talent level. I mean, anytime, you can go out and have just a brand new receiving core like this, where it seems like I think Chris and Ty were the only two back, and then Ty goes out. And I didn't know any of these guys coming in, and they've turned into some of the best spring football receivers that I've ever seen. I think even in your tight end room, right, Alex Ellis was a guy who was catching touchdowns left and right last year. And then you return, you get the two new guys, and they've been making a big impact. I hated to see Mason's touchdown get called back.
Oh,
like,
man.
What's with all these touchdowns getting called back, man? Come on, Blandino.
I was going to say, I can't believe Blandino overturned that one. I mean,
Yeah.
That was a heartbreaker. Like you said, though, the one thing that is kind of as a player that's kind of discouraging, maybe the word for it, is the attendance. And again, I'm a player, so I don't really know what goes into it, what needs to be done. But I think that this is the best product of football that's been put into the spring league since I started in 2023. So it would be nice to see, attendance going up rather than going down. I don't know if it's, there's not enough in the market advertising. I know, me and Matt McCrane, we went out to the Bible Museum when we were in DC. I believe our last DC game. And just in our short time there, I think there's 2 or 3 different, groups of kids that they seen us wearing our stuff and they recognize us, right up to us, ask for autographs and stuff like that. So I get why we have to be hubbed right now, but maybe if we were, down the road when the league, can do it, if guys were in their actual cities, it would increase attendance. I'm not sure. Again, like I said, I'm a player, so I don't know all of those, but that's something that I would love to see, just kind of for the next wave of spring football players, to actually, go into those crowds or go into those stadiums with crowds there.
Yeah, it's kind of that balance between everybody wants to get back to XFL 2020 because that was truly the way spring football is supposed to run from a blueprint standpoint, but it just costs so much, finding the balance between how can we afford it. And yeah, hopefully as the league continues to grow and expand, that will take care of itself. Looking at the ticket map for Sunday, it looks really good. I mean, I went on to get my family some more tickets today, and that whole DC sideline seems to be sold out. The beer snake will be there.
Say beer snake's gonna be in full effect this weekend.
Yeah,
I have to contribute. So if I can find myself in the end zone down on that side of the field, I don't know what the refs are gonna call, but I promise the beer snake, the guys that are up there, that I'm crushing one for them.
Listen, with some of the other player-fan interactions that we've had this year, I think they'd be just fine.
No doubt.
With you doing that.
That is Briley Moore, DC tight end. He'll be in action Sunday at noon going against the Arlington Renegades. Briley, I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for being with us again.
Thanks for having me. It's always a good time.
So if Briley Moore stone colds a beer in the end zone for a touchdown celebration, is that a penalty? It better not be. Better not be.
I mean, I don't think it would be. But that should be your sign to take him anytime touchdown on Sunday.
Yeah, it wasn't a penalty when they were launching lemons onto the field 2 years ago, so I can't see why slugging a beer would be a penalty. I'd love to see it. Let's do it.
He's had that beer celly in the past, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna act like
the
fake
charade,
chugging a beer.
the charade version of it. Let's see if we can get a real beer down the hatch this time.
If Moose Johnson can chug a beer at Audi Field, then Briley should be able to as well.
Yeah, I could tell he is drunk at work a lot of the time with some of his decisions he makes. Anyway.
And Blandino, he's drunk as fuck.
For the first time in a month, we talk about that beer snake. It is back in the nation's capital. Arlington at DC. Defenders a 2.5-point home favorite here. Total is 42.5. Forecast for our nation's capital on Sunday, 74 and sunny. A little bit of wind gusting up to 30, but that's not going to scare me away from this over, TPG. We saw 70 points in the last meeting between these two. Can we break 75 here? Maybe. The way these two offenses play, we know all about the high-scoring history in this series. And these offenses, especially this year, sort of mirror images of each other. Great quarterbacks, really deep receiving core, and zero ground game. So we're in for a shootout. How about this for a stat? Credit Jake Tribby over at Fantasy Points for this one. Jordan Ta'amu, 48 throws of 20-plus yards this year in 7 games. I mean, you would think Fred Keiss is Mike Leach out here running the air raid with some of these numbers. For perspective, Perez is actually in second with those deep throws with 21. So Jordan almost doubled him and more. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess, right? Keep letting it fly. And I mean, I don't know. What else do you do if you're Keiss here? Because this is not going to be the week that you fix the run game. And it's like nobody runs the ball on the Renegades. Against Chris Odom, I mean, he hasn't been human this year. Out here at age 30, just flattening kids. Leads the league, 9 TFLs. I'd put him in consideration for DPOY just as much as I would Peta and some of the others. So, and it concerns me a little bit knowing Arlington just came off that Michigan game where they saw Bryce Perkins in the RPOs. And they kind of have a week under their belt of defending them. We know DC relies on those RPOs. So, once again, it's going to be up to the O-line. Got to do an exceptional job, as they have been, protecting Jordan. The question kind of becomes for Arlington, DC, Jay Hayes, like, what are you going to do differently, right, to try to slow down the most, I think, the most elite passing offense we've ever seen in spring football. I'm talking DiNucci's Sea Dragons. I'm talking prime A.J. McCarron and Butler. Like, this thing is the best that we've ever seen. It's crazy outright, right? If you look at the numbers, what they're doing. So how do you slow it down? I mean, to me, there's only really one way. You got to confuse Jordan. You got to get him uncomfortable. They have to put him in conflict, maybe make him hesitate on some of these reads, but he's been way too sharp. It's like a masterclass watching him run this offense and some of these reads. So I think it's unlikely that Arlington has any answer for Ta'amu in this offense. He hasn't had a bad game since back in week 2, so I'm fully expecting TPG another 30-point day from DC.
Well, I'm with you. I love the over in this game. Like you said, 70 total points last time they played. And also DC, here's a little stat for you. 5-2 to the over this year. Last time an under has cashed in a DC game all the way back in week 2. So yeah, this over is looking nice. But Matt, I got to ask, do you think, coming off such an emotional win last week in San Antonio, do you think this is a potential letdown spot for your Defenders?
That's not an emotional win. That's taking care of business against a team you were supposed to.
I mean, how can you say, though? Like, that thing went down to the wire. San Antonio had your number at times. They exploited that defense. And, I mean, I don't know. It took a pop pass from an O-lineman to take down a team that's, 1-6? So, I don't know. Regardless, though, if you think it's a letdown spot or not, I do think this could be the ultimate get-right spot for the Renegades after losing 3 in a row. And, they have the revenge factor, too, after losing to DC back in week 5. Plus, I believe they have the far superior defense, which you have pointed out. So we've seen DC time and time again this season not be able to get off the mat coming off a big win. And I can't believe I'm going to do this because, this team broke my heart last week, but I really do like Arlington in this game. They're going to walk into that used car lot and whoop that Defender's ass. And the Battlehawks will take first place in the XFL conference. And, looking at the betting in this game, I'm really pissed I didn't take this thing yesterday when the line was sitting at 3 and the money line was at plus 330. Grabbed it this morning at 2.5 and plus 110 on the money line, but should have hopped on it yesterday. Maybe I thought, they're Arlington's underdogs, maybe I can sit and wait on it, but not the case. I think a lot of people are on Arlington because this is the ultimate get-right spot for them.
Yeah, let me preface this by saying I will never pick against my team. I'm a little worried here. TPG, and I'm allowed to admit that because I get accused all year by you St. Louis scumbags of spinning things in DC's favor, and Matty's such a homer, and he just blind bets DC every week. So here you go. You happy? I'm worried. I'm worried more than I have been the whole season. This is going to be a close game. This is probably going to come down to like little things like point after plays. And when you look at that, advantage Arlington. 71% they're hitting their conversions after touchdowns. DC just 37%. So that's not good. And I still got faith. It's shields up till I die. I think DC going to sweep Bob Stoops here, end his playoff dreams. With that said, I'm a little worried about this game.
Hey,
I was
going to say on the bright side for you, though, Ty Scott was throwing up some videos on his IG story earlier this week, running routes, catching passes. So I don't think he's probably active this week, but, down the line, maybe he's a target for Ta'amu to get back.
Yeah, I actually asked Briley about that in our interview. I know you didn't get to sit in on that one, but yeah, he had mentioned that he doesn't know either. So we'll see what's going on. Yeah, we'll move on. We'll move on to Saturday now. Stallions Battlehawks. Whew. This one, basically a pick'em at this point, total 39.5. The experts are calling it the game of the week, TPG, and it's a shame that they double booked it with Michigan-Houston. I kind of hope they put Kurt Menefee on Michigan-Houston and give us Kevin Kugler in the dome. I mean, Kevin Kugler, man, he's been spitting bars lately. By the way, did you see Chase Daniel is going to be making his UFL on Fox debut, calling games? Actually,
no, I didn't.
Yeah.
He's in the booth or on the sideline?
He's a color guy, I think, and they
sick.
They threw him on the stink off, but yeah, that's a name that some Battlehawk fans got to know from his legendary career at Mizzou. So have to see how he does. But speaking of Chase Daniel, a former Big 12 quarterback, just like Max Duggan, How are we feeling about this kid, St. Louis? How are we feeling about Max? Do you honestly believe he can win a game like this under center? You might rebuttal and say, yeah, of course, he did it against Michigan. Well, that's a good point. But in the 2 games since, this offense has been painful to watch. They could not put away Memphis last week. You pull up the St. Louis drive chart in the second half of that game. Punt, turnover, punt, field goal. So I know the Battlehawks keep winning. And that's what Coach Beck keeps talking about, so nobody cares. But, I mean, when you have average starting field position against the Showboats at the 50, and you only manage to score 19 points, that's an anemic offense. I know Beck's kid goes to Iowa State or whatever. This offense looks more like Iowa right now. There is way too much pressure on Max Duggan to run. He has 40 carries in 4 starts. So I don't know if these receivers just aren't getting separation or if he's a one-read progression guy and he's missing receivers. Peasy had a nice corner route. Might have been Duggan's best throw of the whole season at this point, so it's good to finally see him get on the board. But, you know, we know Birmingham is a lot better defensively than Memphis. However, I've noticed a weird pattern with this Stallions D that I wanted to point out. They suck in the first quarter. They have not been starting well. They are constantly killing themselves by giving up chunk plays right out the gate. You think about it. Last week, Zaquandre White had a 52-yard touchdown run first quarter. San Antonio, a couple weeks ago, first play, Hogan to Justin Smith down the sideline. They go like 60 yards. Memphis, all the way back to that game. Second drive, D. Anderson, longest play of the UFL season, 80 yards to the crib. So this list goes on and on with Birmingham. Their busted plays. That's why I'm taking Hakeem Butler. First touchdown, because there's nobody that can make explosive plays in this league like 88 and blue. And if Birmingham's going to continue this trend of just coming out slow and sloppy on defense, I love Butler to score here first. Get the dome rocking, get the energy up early. We know Duggan and his legs have been extremely hard to defend. I think the Birmingham pass rush is really going to have to step up here, get to him before he can scramble, and I think they can. You know, the same way Arlington was able to against Max a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and I pointed this out a couple of weeks ago at the play calling for the Battlehawks is very similar as it was at the beginning of the season. A lot of quick passes, a lot of quarterback runs, heavy emphasis running the ball. Obviously, that's been getting figured out as of late. So if there's any week that Duggan needs to take that step up as a passer, this is the week. So flipping sides to the Birmingham Stallions, right? Skip Holtz has a tough decision to make at quarterback this week. Selfishly, I would love for him to start Cookus because I think the St. Louis defense will absolutely make him see ghosts out there. And they've been playing great as of late, especially without one of their better defensive players, Austin Fiolu. So, but I'm guessing they're probably going to rotate. And I am a little worried about Jamar Smith because he did give this offense quite a spark last week. So, but maybe that success has contributed to like, hey, you come in the game late against Houston. They're not really prepared for you. They don't really know what to expect. So, that might be the case. Who knows? But Battlehawks defense playing great, only allowed 1 touchdown in the last 2 games. Can't overlook that. But from a betting standpoint, I think that the books are baiting everyone to take the Stallions by putting that plus sign by their name, right? And we've already seen this spread go down from, what was it? Opened at 2.5. Now it's down to 1.5. Probably going to close at 1. So I wouldn't fall for it, right? If you're smart, don't fall for this because the Battle Dome is going to be rocking. Hockey season's over for the Blues. The Cardinals are out of town, so Battle Dome, turn that thing up to 11. It's going to blow the roof off. I love the Hawks this week to lasso the ponies.
Yeah, let me tell you why it's impossible for me to pick Birmingham here. In the words of the legendary John Madden, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. So if you have 4 quarterbacks and they all stink, then what do you have? So, you know, I really hope that the 900 or 1,100 Stallions fans that were in attendance last week, whatever it was, they really enjoyed that little 19-point comeback they had against lowly Houston because they're about to lose to St. Louis, then they're about to lose to Michigan, and then Michigan again in the playoffs. And it's a shame for Skip because it would be a completely different story if they had Corral out there. They might have completed this tour for 4, which would have been phenomenal, but it's just not going to happen now. I mean, congratulations to whatever quarterback does get the start here. You get sacrificed to Pita Taumopenu and Travis Feeney. I don't want to be that guy. I also don't want to be the guy knowing the Battlehawks at home want revenge from their trip to Birmingham last year. Trust me, those guys don't forget that. That game got ugly. Anthony Beck was not happy. A lot of stuff after the whistle. Carlos Davis got suspended for that game for a dirty hit. So there's no love lost between these two teams. I honestly think going back, this probably should have been the UFL championship last year if AJ wasn't in a full body cast by the time the playoffs rolled around with absolutely no chance out there. So I'm going St. Louis. At back-to-back weeks and me picking the Battlehawks, it makes me sick. It makes me sick, but I have to do it. And I think they will get the dub.
Before we get into the next game, our boy, Matt McRipper, off IR. Is there any chance we see him this week? I know Cookus was a little banged up on the injury report. Any chance we see the Ripper get in?
Well, the tough part about this is, at time of us doing the show, it's probably going to be announced by then. I don't think look too much into the depth chart here because I think there's going to be a rotation. I would count Jamar out. I don't think he sees the field. I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but you just have to stack these guys up based on how Skip looked at them at the beginning of the year. And you're right. That whole Jamar thing, he was in the game because he had to be. Who else were they going to put in? Jordan Thomas and have him take snaps? Like, they had no choice. But Skip still doesn't believe in this guy like he does his other quarterbacks. So I would rank him the same way he came into camp. It's going to be Magoo, Cookus, and Peasley. And Jamar won't be active, I don't think. And if he is active, maybe he's QB3 if they don't think Peasley's ready yet. But people are going to be surprised to hear this. Don't be shocked if Andrew Peasley plays most of this game. I know, like, it's going to sound crazy, but I think he's the one that Skip wanted to play more, and he didn't get the chance to because he got hurt. I think he still wants to give Peasley a chance. But, yeah, you're going to see Magoo start. I would think Magoo right off the bat because Skip loves that guy for whatever reason. And, I could see Alex getting the start, but I don't think he plays for very long because it's not going to go. It's not going to go his way, and Skip's not going to leave him in the game like he did against DC and make that mistake. So it literally doesn't matter because it's corral or bust at this point, and I don't care who plays quarterback. They are not going to win a championship. They're not going to win this game. All right, let's get into the next one. The other half of our regional doubleheader, Michigan and Houston. Panthers 6.5-point road favorite here. Here's a forecast for you, TPG. 94 and sunny at kickoff. And if you know anything about humidity in Houston, it's going to be 115 on the field temp. I think that Houston center is going to need the sponge again for his ass. It's about to be full swamp-ass city in H-Town Saturday. I think ESPN was offering the over-under cramps at 19.5, so you might want to grab that early on the over. Speaking of heating up, though, how about the Michigan Panthers? Wow. If you would have asked me before Week 5 what Michigan's record would be in Week 8, I would have said 3-4. Here they are at 5-2, and they've got Houston, Birmingham, Houston to finish. Pretty good position for them to be in right now, right? Everything looking up. Well, I'm here to play devil's advocate, as I have on Michigan all year. I haven't always been right. I'm going to take one more chance at it. Don't go booking your flights just yet to St. Louis for the UFL Championship, Panther fans. Here's why. Something people might not know about this team that I've heard from, talking to players, they practice hard. I'm talking hard-hitting, intense college football style gauntlet practices. And that's clearly paid off for them. They are a physically dominant team. They've showed that. But this is a long 15-week season, TPG, with no buys. And you're only allowed, 50 on your active roster? So look at Michigan's defense and what's happened to them. After 2 games, they lose Breland Speaks, their best pass rusher, the best defensive player in the league, Torres Peck. After 3 games, they lost the rotational safety, Gillespie. After 4 games, they lost a starting linebacker, Javen White. He went to IR. Then after 6 games, they lost their nose tackle, Walter Palmore, and a starting corner with Levante Taylor, both out for the year. And then after 7 games, the worst blow of them all, they lose their captain and the UFL's leading tackler, middle linebacker Frank Ginda. That is 6 Week 1 starters out for the year on this defense. And just when you think it can't possibly get worse, look at the injury report this week. Their best remaining defensive lineman, Garrett Marino, did not practice yesterday with a knee. And Ginda's backup, the kid that's supposed to replace him, threw his back out in practice. He's not out there preparing this week. They're down to 2 healthy linebackers. 2 on the entire roster. And this is nothing new. Ask literally any player in this league, any coach. The same exact thing happened last year with Michigan's injury problems, and it cost them a USFL conference title. This is a Mike Nolan problem. This guy's a nutcase. Why are your players out here practicing like it's the Urban Meyer era at Florida? Like, relax. This roster is too stacked to have these problems, and to have them end up potentially being Birmingham's bridesmaid again is just a crazy thought. So I think they can overcome this. But, man, they're thin right now. And now you're going to play in the feels like 115-degree heat. You got some 2s and 3s out there playing on defense. It's not ideal. Lucky for them, they have Houston. Houston stinks. This offense is terrible. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Jalen McClendon, blah, blah, blah. That hype train has left the station. He had his chance to win that game. The guy went 3 of 12 passing in the second half. They went 0 of 5 on third down. They gained 56 yards in the second half total in that collapse. I mean, what is going on? You got a feel for Marcus Sims. I mean, he's had 5 catches in 3 games since he got dealt to Houston, and now he's got to line up against his old squad and get embarrassed out there. Houston is not winning another game. They'll be 3-7, and CJ's going to get canned. End of story.
Well, I actually thought this game was in Detroit, but I checked it. No, you're right. You're right. It is actually in Houston. I don't think that really doesn't change my handicap though. And what I think. So coming off the big win last week for Michigan, do you think this could be a letdown spot, Matt?
No. No such thing as a bounce back for Houston. They're terrible.
I kind of agree, just because I think Michigan is the best team in the league, and they'll be able to clean up those turnovers they had a week ago. Bryce has done a great job taking care of the football this year. Only 2 picks on the season. Plus, we saw last week that Houston defense got ran all over by the Stallions, who have struggled to run the football all season. So confident that this Michigan Panthers rushing attack can get back on track after getting, kind of stuffed last week against the Renegades. So, maybe McCrary and, Colburn could get going too, along with Tua Tawa. Colburn coming off IR, so that's another promising thing for this offense, and it's just going to be interesting to see how this running back situation is going to shake out. Like we said, Tawa got cut in camp. Colburn was a featured guy. McCrary was 2. Does that change because Toa is the hot hand? I think you probably got to keep going with him just because he's been playing so well and one of the better running backs down the stretch of this season. So I agree, Matt. I like the Panthers to continue rolling and make their win streak 3 in a row. I also kind of like the over 2 with multiple defensive starters out on both teams. I think we could get over in points in this one as well in the blistering heat.
Yeah, and, despite this Michigan defense looking like the inside of an emergency room right now, I'm still pretty confident in this team overall. You said Houston's not exactly healthy either. They might only have 5 DBs active for this game, and you're going against the A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith of the UFL with Mariner and Turner. So, and like you mentioned, that's a great point. Colburn back too, and I grabbed the Panthers minus 3.5 at open, threw a couple $100. It's now 6.5. I still think you consider betting it, but again, proceed with caution. And another reason, Perkins actually on the injury report. He's not 100% either with an ankle. We expect him to be fine. He'll probably play the whole game. But yeah, with the defensive injuries, the blistering heat, and then your QB maybe a little hobbled, it doesn't exactly scream max bet to me like DC did last week. But I'd still put a couple of bucks on Michigan minus 6.5. All right, let's round it up. Last one here, TPG. You remember when we sat here back at the end of March and said, here we are to cover all 43 games. We'll be with you for the whole season. Well, we can't go back now. There's no turning back now. Welcome to the 3rd annual Spring Stink-Off, what we like to call the Sicko Special here on the Boulevard. 1-6 Memphis at 1-6 San Antonio Friday night. This is the game on Fox that Kurt Menefee deserves. He deserves this one. It's a turd against a deuce. So you might ask, What absolute degenerate would ever take their hard-earned green US dollars and wager them on this game? I might have bet the over. I might have bet the over. I might have bet the over. Listen, it was at 36. I got 36. Who's playing defense in this game? Who's playing Nobody. Kevin Hogan is trying to make it back to the NFL. He's 33 years old. He's out here putting on a show. Ja'Shawn Corbin, out of nowhere, looked like Saquon Barkley last week. Peyton Pardee, wide open. He's calling it like Xbox. TPG, he doesn't care. They got nothing to lose right now. And that actually helped them last week. Playing free, playing loose, they almost beat DC. They almost pulled that upset. So don't get me wrong. I love the UFL. I'd probably watch practice if it was on TV. But this is how you make the shitty games fun, right? You take the over. And it just so happens to be the lowest total of the year. We're smack dab in the middle of this run where you've had 11 of 15 overs hit. So kind of sucks this game is on Fox. You have no idea how bad I wanted Aaron Dolan to be contractually obligated to sit there and pretend that she did a single ounce of research on 1-6 Memphis against 1-6 San Antonio. Like what she would have been there. Okay, thanks guys. I'm looking at some next drive outcomes here. Punt is the heavy favorite at -5,000. So, I see some value on interception or fumble at -110. Like, what was Dolan going to say about this game? She's going to recommend, I'd like the Daywood Davis anytime touchdown plus 335. I'll tail it. I know you're tailing it. Oh, man.
I've made that mistake of sometimes tailing what she points out, and very, very seldomly has it. Maybe, no, there's only been one time she's actually been right. And that's the one time I didn't tell. So
yeah, it's disappointing with her right now with some of these bets. If you look at ESPN, the crew up and down the board, they're all losing money. So we got to get back. We got to get back this week with the game that Dolan's on. But yeah, I want to take a second before you kind of break this one down to talk about something else completely, and that's San Antonio's future. Because I just keep thinking about this franchise, and let's hypothetically say, okay, the Brahmas win this game. They finish, 2-8? I think they have St. Louis and Arlington to end the year. So finish 2-8. Like, what's that going to look like in 2026? Like, you could take your crystal ball out, try to look into it. I'm going to see if I can predict this. I think heading into next year, after the season, you have to think, like, Wade Phillips resigns, right? And that means that it's a domino effect. Probably Lillibridge, the GM, and Pardee are going to be left without a job. And then sometime this fall, later on, they're going to announce John Gruden as the next head coach of the DC Defenders. So he'll be off the board. Who's San Antonio going to be in line to get as their next coach? You could say what you've said all year. Is it going to be a younger guy? Do they pull, one of these retired NFL coaches? I'll throw some names out. How about Mike McCarthy? John Fox? Huh? You know him as a Bears guy.
No.
How about
he was horrible.
How about Doug Peterson? Doug Peterson's son plays in the UFL right now.
Yeah, maybe.
Or let's get a little crazy. Couple of national champs in college. Ed Ogeron. Nick Saban. You never know.
He's going to be like the college football commissioner, so he's a no.
How about Ed Ogeron? Coach O.
Ogeron would actually be lit. That would be crazy.
Great UFL coach. So I think this league is going to need 4 new head coaches in 2026. I think DC obviously is going to need one because they're all leaving to go to Tennessee State, I think, from what they've said. Houston, CJ's done. He's going to get canned. Memphis, they're not going to bring Turner back. And then San Antonio I don't think Wade's coming back. Like, there's just no way. Like, what would be the reason to at this point? You lost all your momentum. So Russ, Brandon, and Moose, they got their work cut out for them this offseason, TPG.
Well, I agree. I also love the over in this game being so low, and I think both teams could, put up some points late in the season. And, Matt, before, you said this was the Sicko special. You forget. This is the TPG Toilet Bowl. And maybe I'll put out a graphic like I did last year. But, yeah, I'll throw up a graphic. Why not? Why not for the social media? So, looking at this game, right, all signs point to San Antonio in this one to win. They're the home team, heading back to the Alamo Dome, second week in a row, but I'm not very confident in this offense that can stack consistent weeks together. So I actually trust the Memphis defense a little bit more to clutch up and make plays, whereas the San Antonio defense is just absolutely horrible. And we saw it last week. You got a corner, Bo Peak, he's faking like he's pulling his hamstring, his ass cut this week. So I'm just not too confident in the San Antonio defense. Plus, we get Troy Williams starting for Memphis. And if you go all the way back to the beginning of this season of Springball Boulevard, I was touting Troy Williams, saying he's better than Perry. He's the best quarterback on this roster. And finally, we get a Troy Williams start. So I see Memphis being able to, have success on the ground and through the air. And like you said, you probably shouldn't put money in this game, but I'm going back to my personal well. I've never wavered on this team, Matt, all season long. I like the Boats to get it done again on Friday night. It's a personal revenge spot for me, because think back to this matchup last year. I was all over the Boats. San Antonio, what was that? 18 points, and yeah, it was BS. I was so mad. So, personal revenge spot for me. I like the Boats to go into San Antonio, the Alamo Dome, and come back to Memphis with a win.
God, how many times are you gonna pick this team? Troy Williams? I mean, maybe if it was Dresser out there, but good luck, Troy. I don't know, man. I could see some offense in this game, though. I'm going to go horns forward. Give me the Brahmas. XFL, USFL are tied up right now at 6 in the season series. Let's get a win for the X. Throw up the X. Some Kevin Hogan magic to kick us off in Week 8.
I kind of like some props in this one, too. I mean, D. Anderson, revenge game, over 17 and a half receiving yards. We saw that this line's at like minus 130. So, I think a lot of people might be getting on board with that. So I also like Dawood Davis, anytime touchdown, plus 330. Him and Troy Williams had a little rapport last year. So maybe Dawood can get in the end zone again for the first time this season. Also, Troy Williams, anytime touchdown, plus 550. I mean, why not? We saw him run one in against Houston. Maybe he could run one in against this horrible Brahmas defense.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sticking with the Brahmas here. I kind of like some of their offensive props, but
oh shit. Hello.
Oh no, here we go again. He said the D. Anderson revenge game.
All right, I'll be back, dude. My fucking bookie's here. Because I told him I wasn't going to pay him after that Arlington Renegades game because the ending of that was bullshit. Now he's at my front door.
All right, we don't need the story.
And he's like, I don't want to ring the doorbell and get your mom. So
listen, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. So please leave the set and just go deal with it.
I gotta deal with this real quick.
Oh my God, this guy. D. Anderson revenge game. I cannot believe he said that. All right, let's run through our best bets. I mentioned a couple of these already. Into Week 8, I believe we're 10-10 on the season. Let's get above 500 again. We're going to go Memphis, San Antonio, over the 36. I mentioned it's, I think, the lowest total we've had all season. I don't see much defense going on this game. I think both coaches will call it wide open, and we'll probably see 40 or so points. We're going to go Panthers minus 3.5. I know nobody can get that number right now. I got it Sunday night at open, but again, it's at 6.5 right now. I would be careful. Again, we're looking at an unprecedented situation on the Michigan defense. Potentially 7 or 8 day one starters that are out. So I still think they're better, and their offense will score 30 again, but it's going to be hot. So just be careful. Maybe play that for like a quarter unit or something on 6.5. Then we'll go with the automatic over, Arlington, D.C. It kind of bummed I actually got this 43.5. It ticked up Tuesday, and I figured it would keep going up. It went back down to 42.5. So I'm not sure who the hell's betting an under in this game. If it's you, TPG, I'm going to be pissed off that you moved my line.
This might be the quickest show we've ever had. Might be.
Well, when you have Memphis and San Antonio, what the hell is there to talk about? So we gave it our
the Anderson revenge game.
Here, we'll talk about a couple more things. How about this? Travis Feeney said he would dye his hair blue if St. Louis can pull 40K in the Dome this week. I'll do you one better, Travis. I'll paint my entire body blue for the show on Sunday night if they manage to pull 40K. I mean, it's not happening. You have a better chance of Caleb Williams joining the UFL.
The Matty Fresh Blue Man Group. Get him on. Fill out the contract.
40? I mean, he could have done it for 30. Come on, Travis.
They've done it before. I was there. I witnessed it.
Yeah, you know why?
Counted all for 40K.
2 letters.
Yeah, let's hear it.
AJ. That's why. That's why they had 40K. Gone are those days, buddy. Gone are those days. Oh, wow. Look at that. You talking about you getting people hitting you up. I actually just got an email. Let's see here. Release from the UFL. In 2026, all 43 games will be played at the Battle Dome in St. Louis. There you go. Hope you're happy, everybody.
We'll throw a pizza party then.
The new
at
hub.
the Battle Dome.
Just play them all there. What the hell, right? This
let's
fan
just
base.
do it.
This fan base carries the league. We're all just chopped liver compared to you people.
Hell yeah.
Plug the socials and let's go home.
All right, we have Instagram, TikTok at Springball BLVD. Follow, like, comment, share, do all that good stuff. We appreciate the support. Matty Fresh, get us out of here.
For the St. Louis Scumbag TPG, I'm Matty Fresh. You always remember there's no such thing as football season. And to my DC fans out there, listen, we're going to be okay. We'll play them anywhere. We'll play them in a parking lot in St. Louis if we have to. We're going to beat the Battlehawks. Now you got to take care of the Renegades this week. Okay, I don't want to get too ahead of myself.
Yeah, don't look ahead. Don't look ahead of yourself.
We'll see you Sunday night, everybody.